Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we are going to do an account takeover. One of my patrons, Aguileras, came to me and asked me to help with his account, primarily his clan boss team. Now, if you would like help with your account, you're more than welcome to become one of my patrons. There's a link down below in the pinned comment and description of this video. You can be like one of these fine folks right here and support the work that I do and get help with your account in the process. Now, Aguileras was doing about 4 keys on Nightmare, which is not great, to be honest. And after taking a look at his account, definitely should be doing better than that. But then I started really looking at his account, and it is pretty underwhelming. He has some really nice champions, but he's clearly not a whale. Doesn't have a ton of champions sitting all over the place. More importantly, doesn't have a ton of level 60 champions. Doesn't have any books hardly. Doesn't have a whole lot of gems. Not a lot of, some silver, but nothing crazy. The resources were pretty scarce in this build. So it took a lot of work. I basically spent all night on this team trying to figure it out. A couple days actually. 1, trying to speed tune and figure out something that could work, and then 2, actually building it. But I'm going to show you guys all the gear or lack thereof, the champions, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about why I went through things the way I did and how I went about building this team and some of the thought processes that I went through in figuring out what it was I wanted to do here. This really was a bit of a nightmare. It's only sort of a pun. It was very difficult, but we took his 4-key Nightmare team and rebuilt it for Nightmare in a slow tune using Deacon Armstrong. A pretty challenging build overall, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I think you guys will be too. So I'll show that at the end. So these are the champions that we have here. You can see there's a few of them, but not a ton of champions, right? We have, 8 legendaries, 9 legendaries up there, 10, something like that. And some really, really good ones, right? Top tier legendaries like Valkyrie, Battle Khazar, Mashal, just wonderful, wonderful champions. And so obviously there's champions here to be used. The issue isn't having the champions. We can see we have a bunch more down here. The issue is we don't have the books to level the ones that are down here up. Champions like Taragi the Frog, even Ninja, Lord Champfort, all champions that I would definitely be looking at into using, but we don't have the books to level them up, so it's kind of pointless. And then a lot of the champions that we do have aren't booked. You look at Godseeker and Neri, one of the best clan boss champions in the game. She takes a ton of books and she doesn't have any right now. That's definitely going to be a bit of an issue if we try to bring her into our team. We look at Rearguard Sergeant, no books. Pretty hard to get a 5-turn cooldown in a relatively slow team because we don't have the gear to speed up either. Same thing with Geomancer, right? 5-turn cooldowns here. Now, we can always go ahead and use these champions regardless. The issue is, of course, that if we do that, it's going to be much more irregular. And one of the best things about Clan Boss is why we speed tune is because a regular turn order makes a successful team. And so being able to get the same buffs, the same debuffs up at a regular time allows us to stay alive longer and allows us to do more damage. Now, obviously, there are some champions that are booked, right? Skull Crusher's booked, Valkyrie's booked, Battle Khazar's booked, Sepulchre Sentinel is booked, Mashald's booked. All these champions would be really good to have, but then we need the speed in order to fully utilize them. We don't have all that much speed gear in this composition, in this team. If we look here, we have very little with actual speed. So if we just look for speed sets, right? We have some, but not a ton, and not a lot that are rolled up, even in speed gear. A lot of 4-star pieces, which generally aren't really viable when we're really trying to push stuff. This account probably should have 5-star and 6-star pieces in abundance. And one of the ways I recommend doing that is actually farming campaign. We spend so much time worrying about dungeons and people are wanting to catch up with the crowd. The best way to farm gear in this game is to go in campaign, farm the speed dungeons, the speed level, and just farm boots until you get, I don't know, half a dozen speed main stats that are 5 or 6 stars. Makes a world of difference. Right now we have a total of 4 5-star speed boots. 4. This should be at least 10. Not to mention having some in lifesteal. When I was first coming up, that was what I did. I farmed a lot of campaign for lifesteal gear, for speed gear, even for accuracy gear. The boots especially, because all you need is that main stat of speed. The substats aren't that important. And then I would do the same thing for chest pieces and gloves, trying to get the right main stats, right? I'm talking defense percentage, HP percentage primarily. For clan boss, it was all about survival and letting the poisons do its work, especially when you're struggling on Nightmare. When you start hitting Ultra Nightmare, you start wanting to get things like crit rate in. You want to start getting some other things going on, but primarily for Nightmare, and even a lot for Ultra Nightmare, your biggest thing is we're letting the War Master procs do their work and letting the poisons and HP burns do their work. So it becomes much more about accuracy and speed and a lot less about crit rate and attack. You don't really need that. We do have champions like Maneater and Painkeeper, and I know pretty much everybody's going, oh, budget unkillable team, that's what we're going to do. The issue is Maneater, getting him to 240 speed, which is what we need for a budget unkillable, is not going to be viable with this. I tried to find it and I could not. I could not find 240 speed in here. Because of that, the budget unkillable, we're not there for it. Not yet, not right now. Eventually, I think so, but not at the moment. In addition to that, we also have to level up more champions. It becomes a tougher thing. So we're going to go a different route. We're actually going to go with the slow tune team, utilizing some of his amazing champions, specifically Valkyrie, Sepulchre Sentinel, and I believe we're going to be using Deacon Armstrong. All three of them are booked. That will give us decreased attack and decreased defense, two important debuffs. Not to mention Valkyrie with the shields and counterattack is going to help us sustain. That's what we're going to be trying to do today. I'm going to work on this, figure it out, and hopefully come back with a bomb team, and we'll see if this can work for us. Now, when you're in an early account like this one is, you can't rely on crit rate and crit damage and the raw damage from your champions to really get you your clan boss keys done. You just don't have the gear for it. You don't have the crit rate gear, the crit damage gear, the attack gear even, not to mention the sustain gear to allow you to place more damage stats on. So what you want to do is you're going to rely on poisons and you're going to rely on HP burn to really get the damage done for you. You're going to be relying on those War Master procs, the Giant Slayer procs, and that's how you're going to do the majority of your damage. So in order to make that happen, if you're not running an unkillable team, you need to try to build as much sustain as possible so that you can allow those debuffs to go on as long as possible. That's how you're going to maximize your damage. And that's what we're doing here. Basically, we have Valkyrie here with the shield. Obviously, is going to keep our team very alive. And then we're also bringing in Jarreg, and Jarreg's going to be using ally protection. Valkyrie does half the job. Ally protection is going to do the other half for us. And between the two of them, I think we're going to be pretty close to a 1-key Nightmare team. This was a 4-key Nightmare team before. 4 keys, like doing somewhere between 10 and 12 million damage. I know we're going to at least do a 2-key damage. I think we're going to get pretty close to 1 key. Between Sepulchre Sentinel and Jarreg, we're also going to have increased defense up for the entire fight. We have Leech from Deacon, which means we don't have to use lifesteal gear, and we're going to be relying on Frozen Banshee to do the damage for us. So this is the team that we're going to be running. I think overall, it's a very good composition. It's just really tricky to put together. Running slow tune teams are like, it's like doing the math Olympics, you know? It's just very difficult to get everything tuned exactly the way you want, but it's very satisfying too. This was a blast to do this takeover, I have to say. So let me show you really quickly the champions. I want to go through this kind of quickly, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Valkyrie, basic things, right? Maximizing that defense. 6,700 is a very good number, way more than I thought we were going to be able to do, but only 125 speed. Keeping her this slow is the trick. And this way she will go last and keep that up on everybody. You can see her masteries here. We did go down the support tree and it works out fine just to maximize the shields on everybody else. We also are going to use Sepulchre Sentinel here. Sepulchre Sentinel also in the support tree to get a little bit more accuracy. Not that we really need it, but that's just the way I ended up going down it. Trying to get as much speed as possible, going to 201 speed here. That is pretty high up there for this account. So this is the reason why we're running this style of team and not a budget unkillable or something else. 3,800 defense is solid. We do have crit rate. I want to make sure that she can land her hits. She does do good damage if you build crit rate and crit damage on her. In addition to that, we also have Jarreg. Obviously, this guy really makes this last this so long. 184 speed Got 3,000 defense, 6,700 HP with plenty of room to move. I don't have everything rolled up. So there's lots of room to improve on most of these builds, I have to say. We do have him going down the defensive tree with the offensive tree here. There is, he's going to be one of the last to die, I'm pretty sure. So we probably don't even need to roll up any of that gear, and he's going to work just fine. The only time you'll want to start rolling that up is if he's the first one to die, or if he dies before somebody else, then you go, we can build a little bit more sustain on this one. Now, we also have Deacon Armstrong here. You can see support tree. We did take steadfast. That's really important. We don't want him taking the stun, even though he's our lead. We're going to use that 19% speed aura. That's going to help keep these speeds so low, and why he's so key. 203 speed, almost 3,000 defense. We do have a little bit of room to roll that up. I'd like to get up to 3K and pretty solid HP. We do have 100% crit rate and crit damage. I want to make sure that his HP doesn't go low. I don't want him taking the stun, and 180 accuracy is enough accuracy to work for Nightmare. This is a Nightmare team. And then we have Frozen Banshee here going at 141 speed. She's our damage dealer, obviously laying those poisons. 3K defense is good. 32K HP is low. We do have room to roll stuff up. I just didn't have the silver to do it. This glove is HP. The helmet's HP. Both of those can be rolled up and give us a little bit more to go on. Now, we had no accuracy on Jareg. We're going to rely on Sepulchre Sentinel to really land all the debuffs here. So that's going to be really important. And that's pretty much it. I didn't lock out any skills, really. Just, try to prioritize a little bit for the timing of stuff. But yeah, we're going to need a manual a little bit in the beginning. The way this works is we have Jareg giving us ally protection for the second AoE, the middle one. And we have Valkyrie's shields protecting us for the first AoE. And then Jareg's ally protection is actually going to extend on to Valkyrie. She's going to take the stun. And so this is one of the ways we're going to be able to last so long. I'll break it down a little more as we get into it. We do have to set it up for this first cycle here. So I'm going to actually start off. There we go. We got that A2 going. A1 here, Sepulchre. We need to wait till right before the stun for Sepulchre Sentinel, and we're going to use Jareg's ally protection right from the jump here. And this will help us get into auto right away. As always with this kind of thing, sometimes you can manipulate it a little bit to get more damage, but I'm a big fan of going on auto. So faster we can do that, the better. We do need to wait a little bit with Deacon. We basically a 2-turn delay before we use his speed up ability. And everybody else is just kind of going through the motions. We have to wait for Valkyrie and Frozen Banshee. We don't want to use this poison sensitivity. We don't want to use the counterattack until right before the AoEs. Okay, now we can use Deacon's speed up ability right there. Get that leech going. There we go. Now we're going to put up the increased defense and block debuffs. One more turn here with Valkyrie. One more turn with Jareg. And then Deacon's going to go again. We get the decreased defense. Well, we tried to. Got resisted. It happens. It should be pretty consistent, but RNG is a thing in this. Obviously, if we could build the accuracy more on pretty much all these champions, I would do it. But we're a little bit limited with the gear that we have in maximizing everything. At this point, I can click auto. I always just like to manual just a little bit more to make sure everything's going smooth for us. And there we go. And we don't actually fall into sync until about turn 9. So yeah, we can click auto now. And we're good to go. You can see that shield from Valkyrie is really what's going to protect us for that first AoE. It's going to protect us a long time for the second AoE as well. But then Jareg here is going to place ally protection and that increased defense buff for the second AoE. And that's going to really help make sure that we don't die, take a lot less damage, also help make sure that we are fuller health when it comes to the stun, so that the stun targeting will likely go where we want it to. All the counterattack buffs fall off. So the only buff on everybody is that increased defense, the block debuffs, and that ally protection. Now, like I said, it takes a couple turns to get into it, but you can see the stun went to Valkyrie. The clan boss doesn't care about shields. Clan boss doesn't care about block debuffs. Only cares about increased defense, reflex, counterattack, and then the steadfast mastery, which you notice we have on Deacon Armstrong. That's why Deacon's not going to take the stun, even though Deacon's the lead. Then it's going to go to the next champion in order, and our number 2 champion on this team is Valkyrie. Valkyrie has the most defense for us, so she'll be able to live longer. She's also actually going to keep her shield up for longer than anybody else, so that will help as well. And she's still going to have the ally protection from Jareg up once we get into the stun, and that's going to be a major difference maker as far as staying alive. Now, it was really tricky trying to time this right. Basically, how this works, everybody's going to take, once we get into sync, everybody's going to take a single turn after the stun, before the AoEs. And what that means is we have Sepulchre Sentinel going last right before the stun. So she places that increased defense. She places that block debuffs right before the stun. Obviously, we won't get stunned, but also it means we have increased defense for that attack. We also have increased defense for the first AoE because everybody only takes one turn, so it stays up on us through both attacks. That's massive. And then Jarek goes last between the AoEs. He's going to place his increased defense there, not to mention the ally protection, and that'll keep us alive there. So you can see here, we still have ally protection on Valkyrie. There goes the increased defense. Valkyrie's taking almost no damage throughout this. And there we go. Everybody still has increased defense up right now. And so that's how we keep everybody alive. That's how we're able to have only 3,000 defense on some of our champions and have them working like they have 4,000, because we never drop that buff. It's a massive, massive way to stay alive. That's why it's such an important buff to have on your champions. So this is a team. It works pretty great. We're not doing crazy damage. You can see we're doing a little bit more than 500,000 a turn. That does pick up. It should keep about that pace, I would imagine. Maybe like 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 a turn, something along those lines. It definitely depends what turn it is based on the number of poison that Frozen Banshee is going to be able to put up. But in general, this is a very, very successful team. It should last a very long time. I think you guys are going to be impressed with it. So we're going to go ahead, jump towards the end, because it's a long fight. I don't want you guys to have to sit through the whole thing. And we'll play some music. And I'll come back in a bit. 39.77 million. I mean, that's so close to a 1 key. Honestly, I need to roll up those stats on Frozen Banshee. You saw when she died, she's our damage dealer. If she dies, the whole team dies. So that's probably the biggest place where we can improve things. But you can see it really helps having decreased defense. It really helps building crit rate. Deacon did 5 million, Valkyrie did 9, and Sepulchre did 8. Like, there's a lot of damage to be done in there with the entire team when you can last this long. We lasted well over 60 turns, 17-minute run. Not too bad. It's the unkillable team that's not an unkillable team. I mean, that's I think overall, a very impressive team, impressive run, and one pain in the butt to speed tune. I don't like doing these. That's not true. I really had a blast trying to figure this out, and it's a wonderful puzzle solving, exercise. But it's super difficult, very frustrating. This took me all night to do, basically, but worth it in the end. This is kind of the thing that really got me into Clan Boss in the first place. So pretty fun result. Not too shabby, right, guys? I mean, it ended up being a 1-key team. I mean, barely 1 key, but we got there, and that's the key. Pretty fun all in all. This was a nice challenge. Coming into an early game account with like nothing in the Great Hall, basically. You can see there's nothing there. No accuracy to speak of, no defensive bonus, no HP bonus. This stuff is very, very difficult to build and make, but it was really worth it, and a lot of fun. Ally protection is so strong. Increased defense is so strong. There's a lot to be had, especially with these new champions that can give you these turn meter boosts like Deacon, who's just really an outstanding champion in this game. There's so many new ways to build a traditional Clan Boss team, to build a low-level Clan Boss team and still find good success. If we can get a little bit more speed on this team, oh my goodness, I think we could easily build an Ultra Nightmare team that can 3-key Ultra Nightmare without too much hassle, maybe even 2-key. But we're lacking the speed, and that's the biggest thing, is you got to get speed, whether that's farming through campaign or just getting all your dungeons done to level 20 so you can start getting that 5 and 6-star gear with the speed subsets you need. If we had some stalwart gear, that would be amazing, especially on Frozen Banshee. That would have been fantastic to have. But, as it is, I think we did pretty good job here. And I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty sure Aguilera's is as well. And if you guys want some work, join my Patreon. Otherwise, guys, it's been a pleasure. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. Like I said, this comp, the link to it will be in the description of this video. And until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.